As you know, we are days away from the Democratic National Convention, which will be in Chicago, Illinois. That is the home of lots of luminaries, from Harold Washington to Jesse Jackson to Barack and Michelle Obama. In the DNC convention in Chicago, you will see all the pomp and circumstance you've ever seen. Every 4 years, the Democrats and the Republicans show up and show out with all the pomp and circumstance in the world. They have the famous people, they have the galas, they have the parties. I've been to the DNC multiple times. I gotta say, it's a good time. But this one is going to be a little bit different. This one is going to be a lot different. Kamala Harris will be accepting the party's nomination to lead the Democratic ticket in November's presidential election. We've only seen one other time with a black person at the top of the ticket. We've never seen a black woman at the top of the ticket. I was there in '08 when Obama accepted the nomination. We were in Denver, Colorado. I know what that was like. This is going to be something else. Of course, Governor Tim Walz is going to be there as well as her VP choice. And people are excited. Women are excited. Men are excited. Black people are excited, white people are excited, but nobody is more excited about this than black people, and certainly black women. Because again, Kamala Harris is the first woman, and well, not she's not the first woman. Hillary Clinton is the first woman to lead the top of a major party ticket, but Harris is the first woman of color to do so. You know, Nikki Haley thought the spot was hers. She's punching the air. She thought she could beat Trump. She could not. And we're expecting this to be on 1,000. I mean, I'm talking about you ain't seen star-studded like you're going to see in 2024 Democratic Convention in Chicago. I'm trying to tell you, when I was at the convention in 2008, and I've been to multiple ones, but the one in 2008, I'm talking about the parties. I didn't go to a lot of parties, but I'm just saying the fact the parties they had were so exclusive you couldn't get in unless you were an A-list celebrity. I went to watch Barack Obama accept the party's nomination. And we were in the stadium in Denver. And I've never seen anything like it. I was in the cheap seats. I was all the way at the top of the stadium. And when I looked to my left, there was a celebrity. Look to my right, there was a celebrity. Will.I.am was sitting right in front of me. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying we were all in the cheap seats. But the fact that, and I was working for a news network at the time. I was working actually at Fox News at the time, so I actually had a special pass. And the best I could get was the top of the stadium. But I'm saying celebrities, even the Black Eyed Peas were the hottest thing in the world. You might think they're corny, whatever. That's a whole other conversation for another time. Whatever you think about them, they were super famous, and they couldn't get near the floor. It was next level because everybody, every A-list celebrity, every actor, every actress, every singer, every head of state, every powerful politician wanted to be there to say they watched Barack Obama accept the party's nomination. And so when you have a moment like that, it's just up. And that's what we're going to see this time with Kamala Harris. We're going to see um, something that we've never seen before. But it's not just black people that's going to be there. And it's not just people who celebrate Kamala Harris who are going to be there. There's also going to be, as there always is, a lot of protest. Now, every protest ain't the same. And the protest that has everybody upset right now on the internet is a protest promise. I'm not going to call it a threat. I don't think it's a threat, but a protest promise from a Chicago-based pro-Palestinian activist. This person shows up. I believe the video originates on TikTok. I'm old, so I don't see TikTok videos, so they get to Twitter and Instagram. But they made the video. It's a person whose voice is modulated, and their face is covered with what looks like a keffiyeh, a Palestinian keffiyeh, uh, and they make a fairly intense, I would argue politically clear analysis of the Democratic Party, but they do it in a way that caused some concern for people on the left. I'm going to just show you the video. I don't want to make any assumptions about how you'll interpret it. I want you to interpret it for yourself. Check this out.
The Democratic National Convention is coming to Chicago. It's where the Democratic Party's insiders and delegates come together to crown their next villain. This year, for the first time since 1968, the Democratic nominee will be chosen without a single American voting for them in the primaries, proving that your voice doesn't matter, only their agenda. This election season, Democrats are desperate to rally behind Killer Kamala, a supposedly left-wing candidate who's just as far-right as Trump on policies such as immigration and crime. It looks like Kamala has chosen her partner in crime. She chose Tim Walz as her genocidal running mate. If you didn't know, Walz was a former command sergeant who supported the war in Afghanistan. As home to the largest Palestinian diaspora in the country, we want to give Killer Kamala, her partners in crime, and her future VP a warm welcome to our city. We do not care who's on the ballot come this November. We will not be voting for either genocidal party. As the people of Chicago, we condemn in the strongest words possible the genocidal Democratic Party, which has shown no reservations in materially supporting the Israeli genocide in Gaza. It has been over 300 days since the start of the genocide and over 76 years of colonization by the Zionist entity. We are not only calling for a ceasefire, but we are calling for an end to all U.S. aid to Israel, divestment of the $120 million in Israel bonds that Illinois holds, an end to Chicago's Cop City, and a dismissal of the proposed investment of $900 million for prison renewal in Illinois. We call on our elected officials to invest in our communities, to value jobs and education over genocide and incarceration. We, the people, demand Mayor Johnson and Governor Pritzker to cancel the DNC. We will no longer accept empty gestures by politicians who have been bought out by weapons manufacturers and pro-Israel lobbyists. If the Democratic Party loses in November, the genocidal policies will be blame alone. Stand united in our call for justice. We demand change and we will not be silenced. We charge genocide.
We charge genocide. Now, let's first get to the political analysis that the person offered. He's right. Fundamentally, he's right. I don't agree with every single thing he said. You know, the whole idea of the voting and all that stuff, I think is a little more nuanced than that when you talk about Joe Biden stepping aside. But I do think that there should have been a Democratic primary. I think there should have been a convention, not a broker convention, but there should have been a convention vote. I think the American people should have had the opportunity to decide who they wanted to be their representative. I'm not sure who they would choose, but that's what democracy is all about. But more fundamentally, the question of who should or how should we approach what's happening in Gaza, the idea that the United States is underwritten and supported a genocide, the idea that the United States is complicit in the war crimes of Netanyahu and the Israeli government, all that's true. And the claim that, you know, they want to withhold their votes and not allow, or at least withhold the votes from Democrats, and not allow the Democratic Party to be rewarded for their complicity with genocide. And I'm talking specifically about the Biden-Harris administration. It's very important for them to say, hey, we're not going to reward you by letting you be president again. I get it. I think that is a legitimate and principled position to take. It's not the position that I'm taking this year. As of now, I would not take that position. I intend to make a different choice, a strategic choice to support Kamala Harris or to vote for Kamala Harris to block Trump, because I think that as a practical matter, stops the bleeding more. As a practical matter, I think that stops Donald Trump, which I think that has an impact on issues beyond just Palestine, which is something we need to talk about. But I respect anybody who says, hey, I'm voting third party. Hey, I'm voting. I have a moral opposition to voting for someone who has supported genocide. Now, again, it's interesting when we invoke responsibility and when we don't. When is it Kamala's administration? When is it Biden's administration? Who do we hold accountable and who do we hold to task for policy choices? But again, another conversation we can have another time. At the core, people are like, wait a minute. In fact, if you look at the video, that popped up here, and I want you to just notice not just the video itself, but the person who posted the video.
The Democratic National Convention is coming to Chicago. It's where the Democratic Party's insiders and delegates come together.
What they did was someone posted this and said a Chicago-based activist group has put out an ominous video ahead of the Chicago DNC 24. And they sort of put this part. We're going to give her a warm welcome to our city. And they call it Killer Kamala. Of course, when the video keeps saying Kamala, I don't get why people insist on mispronouncing her name. It feels wild. You know, there's a whole country full of people that can say Giannis Antetokounmpo, Michelle Indigay-Ocello, Mike Krzyzewski, which is spelled K-R-Y, you know, etc. And they can't say Kamala. I find that weird. But what's more weird is that they wrote "Attention FBI." Attention FBI. So they're making this a threat. Now, again, the guy had his voice modulated so we wouldn't know who he was. The guy had his face covered so we wouldn't see who he is. And if you threaten, and not threaten it, but if you're promising to confront and even protest the vice president, the alphabet boy is going to be on your ass. So I can see why you would want to cover your face and modulate your voice. Somebody said he can say Gaza correctly, but cannot say Kamala. Well, I suspect the man is Palestinian, so saying Gaza, sorry, Gaza is probably natural for him. Saying Kamala could not be at that level, but I still think the mispronunciation of her name is intentional, disrespectful, and a whole lot of other things that we could talk about another time.